Hey guys, I'm over here pet sitting little Gracie. She's like a year and a half old, long-haired dachshund. I don't know if she's been in my videos before. She is like so adorable. And she makes like little baby noises and her hair is so soft and silky and she has like a squishy tushy. And she's a pretty good girl. Huh, pretty good girl. She's so lovable too. She reminds me a lot of my Cocker Spaniel that I used to have named Relish. He was pretty much almost this coloring, a little more cream maybe. And she's a long-haired dachshund. She's maybe a year and a half, something in that ballpark. So I pet sit her once in a while, and she's a pretty good girl. She's a good watchdog. And these eyes, oh my god, they're so adorable. Oh, a nice big yawn. Yes. Yeah. Oh, cute. So cute. Yes. Mwah. Okay, enough about that. We can watch her like all day. Anyways, so this video is gonna like be a bunch of stuff. Just looking where I can put the camera down. I guess over here. So this video is probably gonna be like a bunch of stuff, maybe. I should have set this up ahead of time. Bad. Oh, come on. I have this weird clip on the back of my phone, and just doesn't want to sit on anything. Oh, got it to stay. Okay, so this video is going to be like kind of a bunch of things. So anyways, it's always interesting. I just got to Gracie's house, and I was here maybe 10 minutes. Maybe just enough time to go let her out to go potty and for me to go potty. And then I get this, I'm finishing going to the bathroom and I get the doorbell rings and I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's just a package. Some lady goes, as she has her black Labradoodle, right? One of those big Labradoodles, a poodle and a Labrador, right? They're super popular where we live. Everybody freaking has one. You're nobody unless you have a freaking Labradoodle or Golden Doodle or Bernedoodle. Anyways, so she comes to the door, rings the doorbell, and she's like, do you know there's dogs in that car in the driveway? And I was like, yeah. A couple minutes before that, I heard Gavin bark, and I was like, yeah, someone must have walked by the van, because I parked the van in the driveway with my dogs, right? And of course Gavin barks. He's a watchdog, right? And she's like, well, isn't it hot for them? They shouldn't be in the car, kind of thing, something like that. And I said, well, the windows are down. It's got tinted windows and there's a fan on the top. And I said, I just came in to bring some things in. I'll be right back out. And she just kind of looked at me like, didn't know what to do or what to say. And I felt like saying, you're walking, you should be talking, you're walking a black, fluffy Labradoodle, and true, it's only 81 degrees right now at 40% humidity. To me, that's nothing. Like, my dog just got done with an hour and a half walk, and they did fine. Like, these city dogs drive me crazy, because they think all day these dogs have to be in air-conditioned. Oh my God. It's like, what do you think happens with the dogs that live out in the freaking country? Dogs have lived in the wilderness and hotter climates, in the freaking deserts and everything. If my dog freaking barked at you, he doesn't sound like he's got heat stroke then. If he barked at you when you walked by and was gonna sound like he was gonna freaking attack you, I don't think he's down a heat stroke. I think he should just probably keep on going, maybe take a look and be like, oh, look, the windows are tinted, the windows are down, every window's open. Oh, look, there's a fan on the top of the van. Just keep on walking, it's not that hot out there. I went out there and I checked on the dogs and they're not even panting. It's like, you don't know, maybe it's all really well insulated in there. It's probably cooler in there than it is actually outside. If I go out there, my dogs are not panting, I think they're okay. And they had plenty of water, all that. So I hate when people do that. It's like these city folks, okay? Because they don't live out in the country to know, or what type of breed is it, it drives me crazy when someone does that in a way, because they just always hear about how, oh, dogs in cars. Yeah, I understand. And guess what? Cars get hotter than a van does. A van is insulated more. and it depends on the size of the van. It depends where the van is parked. It depends, do you have the reflectix up? Do you have some built-in walls? How is it insulated? Is there a huge bowl of water in there for the dog? What do you think happens when the dogs go camping? What do you think dogs living in RVs and at campgrounds and in hotter areas and climates than Bay Area, California, for freaking crying out loud, I've lived in apartments where the apartments were way hotter than my van ever gets, and you have to just suffer through that for days on end when there's a heat wave. It just drives me crazy because people are just stupid. I feel like they just don't know, if the dog is barking at you, he doesn't sound distressed now, does he? He sounds more distressed because you walked by him. Just understand he's a guard dog. He's going to do that. It's not like you walked by and he was crying and whining and sounding like he was hurt or injured, So anyways, I didn't think that dog should have been walking hurt. I didn't think that lady should have been walking her dog in this heat, maybe. Super fluffy, all black, a Labradoodle. So it's not really a poodle and it's not really a Labrador, so kind of neither one can really handle the heat too well, I would think, because it had very thick hair. Anyways, so that's one thing. And then it was interesting this morning when we went to the storage, our storage lockers, whatever, our storage facility, and there was like 2 moving trucks and several people moving things out, and I was like, oh my god, what is going on? I've never seen this many trucks and these people like packing things into their cars, and I was like, what happened? It was kind of weird. And I just looked at my watch and I was like, oh, it's like the beginning of the month. Okay, so everyone's like moving out because it was like the beginning of the month or something, I guess. I don't know. And then one lady went to her storage locker next to where we were parked, and I was like, oh, am I on your way? We'll be leaving in just a couple minutes, She's like, no, I just got this unit over here. She's like, but we are having a big moving truck coming in just a few minutes. I was like, oh, okay, but we'll be out here in just a couple minutes, because we were just wrapping up, grabbing a couple of things before heading off to work. And we got to talking to the lady. She seemed like really cool, really nice. She seemed kind of like down to earth, like older lady. And then we got to talking, and she was moving to Colorado, kind of by Denver, but some smaller town that's got like 4,000 people, right? And, we were just kind of asking, oh, what's making you guys decide to move? Because everybody's like kind of moving from the Bay Area right now. It's like everybody's moving in and then there's everybody moving out. It's like really weird. So they moved, I guess her family or her husband moved here in the 1990s when I guess a little bit before the .com era, or when the technology happened, I guess computers and things like that, I guess, started to happen. So they moved here then, I suppose, tech job kind of thing. So they are like, yeah, we moved to, I forget what the name of the town, it was a small town, 4,000 people. And, we asked, what are the median average house prices? They're like, oh, about 600,000. And we're like, she's like, but you can find houses in the outskirts, like maybe 200,000 and stuff, So we're like, okay, cool. And, she's like, yeah, it's just a small town. People are so much nicer and everything. And then Jeff asked her, well, did you guys buy a house there? They're like, yeah. And he's like, well, how much do the houses go for or whatever? She's like, well, we bought ours for $1.5 million. And I'm kind of like, wait a minute, I don't understand. You're leaving California and the whole rat race and all this shit just to go somewhere else and almost be doing the same thing. Like, you're complaining everything here is getting so expensive, yet you sell your house here, then you go live in a small town and buy a $1.5 million home. And she had said, oh, yeah, we wanted to get like a smaller house, but we ended up finding this house and bought it. And I'm like, I can't even imagine how big this house has to be, or how much. We didn't really ask how much land was with it, but I mean, if it's a town of like 4,000 people, I don't know, I think more south of Denver, something like that. If I saw it on a map, I probably would remember it. I think it just had one name. Maybe it started with a W. I don't really remember because it was like, never heard of it. And, and I'm thinking, it drives me crazy how like people from California are moving to other places, and they're moving from here because they're talking about how like, oh, it's getting so expensive. Oh, the house prices, everything is so ridiculous. So they sell here and then they go somewhere else and still buy the expensive houses, pay cash because their house here costed whatever. Then they go somewhere else and buy something for almost the same price. Like, what, for 1.5 you could have bought almost any house in nice areas around where we live. So I'm like, I don't understand what was the point of moving. I mean, yeah, maybe different scenery, maybe a little slower pace of life, but it's like, I totally understand how a lot of these other major cities, like Denver, Colorado, Austin, Texas, places in Washington and Oregon, let's say, are like, oh my God, we're freaking sick of you people from California coming up there and making it just like another California. It's like, you already ruined California. Now you're going to come to our town, our place, and do the exact same freaking thing, you know? And I don't blame them. You know, I'm upset about it all too. You know, if I was going to go live somewhere, it's because I want to live somewhere else because it's more affordable for me, or it offers different things, or I'm sick of the rat race. I'm sick of how things are going. You know, so it was really interesting to talk to this lady. Like, she seemed nice, she seemed really cool, but then I was like, I don't understand. You're pretty much doing the same thing. You hate all the people coming here doing this, and then you go and do like the same thing. I didn't understand that, you know. But anyways, I don't get it, you know. You know, and so yeah, you know, Jeff and I have kind of, I guess it kind of rolls into what, like, Jeff and I have been thinking too. Like, we were born and raised here. Jeff's 47, I'm 40. I've lived all over the Bay Area. I've lived all over California, sort of. I've been to a couple other different states. I've lived a lot of different places, traveled a bit. So I've seen a lot. Jeff kind of really hasn't. He's kind of always lived like the same little area. Pretty much born and raised in the same place. So he hasn't really been out there a lot. But, you know, it's just seeing, even in the last, I want to say 2 years, maybe 3 years, but maybe especially in the last 2 years, where I've started to notice with my clients too, that a lot of my clients are starting to move away, or they're pretty close to not staying here that much longer. I've already seen it in the last several years. The only ones that seem to be staying are the ones that their house is already paid off, or they inherited their parents' house, or they stay here because their family's here, or whatever kind of thing, or they make good money here, or they have other properties, other places, or they're doing really well, so they stay. But yeah, you know, I've always kind of had a love-hate relationship with where I live, you know, because I've kind of been everywhere. So I like it here for some reasons, but at the same time, I'm not attached to here. I could live anywhere, you know. And it's been interesting too, because so I've been a nomad for about 5 years now. And you know, I had the opportunity to park on private property for a couple of years of that, and now it's like I'm back to urban camping, you know. And it's interesting even seeing in the last few months how they seem to almost be cracking down on, I guess, urban campers, people in RVs. I think it's more people in RVs. I think people in vans, they kind of just like pass by them. And I think people in vans usually keep their stuff moving, because most of us like are just 1 or 2 people in a van, and I think we move and we go for work, or we use our vehicles for work. I think it's more so the people that have RVs, because they always have a couple of vehicles attached to those RVs, so they're really cluttering up the streets. And we're starting to notice a couple of our camping spots, as we call it. If you don't know what that is, that's when you drive to a spot for the night, sleep, wake up, and then go on with your day, basically. So we're starting to notice some of the spots we typically go to are starting to have signs now. We'll be driving to, oh, okay, we're going to go to this spot tonight. Okay. Jeff and I will follow each other, and then we're like, oh my God, the street is like too clean. There's like hardly any cars. What happened? And then we see signs, and we're like, you know, so they're starting to like crack down on that kind of stuff. Because also it's these RVers. The RVers, they park their huge ass 40-foot, 30-foot RVs, one spot for fucking weeks and months. Like, what do you think is gonna happen? Why don't they move that shit at least once in a while, you know? But because they don't have to, because they feel entitled, because they, I don't know, want to give the big middle finger to the county and say, well, provide me housing. Well, that's like impossible. So it's kind of like terrible what's been happening, because they're starting to put up all these signs. Where are they supposed to park? Okay? Because if you can't say they can park anywhere, just pushing them somewhere else, oops, sorry, dog. Just pushing them somewhere else is not solving the problem, and we are crying this town about, housing shortage. Yeah, because nothing got built for the last 20 or 30 years. I know. I've been here like beyond that. And then all these tech companies are bringing in people from other countries and other states. So they're contributing to more massive amounts of people being here. And there's already no housing. And then it sucks because all these people from other countries and other states are coming here. And then these companies are paying them really well, and they're still helping to pay for their housing. So us locals, what are we supposed to do? Us kids that were pretty much born and raised here, or that had like middle class parents, or we do blue collar jobs, and they're all almost leaving, and they're trying to say, oh, well, we'll raise the minimum wage. That's really not helping unless you live in a household with 10 other people. So it's really interesting seeing what is happening and what is a trend, and I don't see it changing much for the better anytime soon. I see the homelessness on the streets getting worse. I don't know if it's they're getting pushed out of other areas, or these people are more in your face about it to try and get attention and try and have the county, the state, whatever, do something about it. The money is there, but what are they doing with the money? And then it's always all these NIMBY people, not in my backyard, all the normal people that have houses and everything, that were privileged. And it's like really kind of sickening how it's all going. And Jeff and I kind of look at ourselves like, yeah, how much we're feeling so pushed out. And it's really sad because we were born and raised here. This is, it's hard. It's sad because it's like you thought you could have just stayed in the same area. It's not even like, oh, well, we want to have kids and put down roots. It's like we're just trying to survive, So sometimes we think, like, we really kind of have been thinking, so what do we do? Stay here for another year or two? Jeff kind of still trying to decide, like, does he want to do more staying doing the landscaping? Does he want to do tree work? There's good money in that. People have money here for that. So there's plenty of trees to go around, so he could make good money doing that. And in a way, we could be able to survive to stay here, hopefully. But then also, I wanted to be a dog trainer. I love the pet care industry, what I've been doing for the last almost 11 years now. I love it. There's such a need for it here. People have money for that here. But then it's tricky because I'm going to sound racist here. Pretty much majority of my clients are white people that have these high-tech jobs or that have been here. They're all like in their 60s, 70s, maybe their 80s, and they've been here for a long time. They've already made their money. They own their houses. So they go on trips for work and business, and they will pay out for a pet sitter or a dog walker, or a dog trainer. They have the money to do that, and they are the type of people that do. Like, white people are pretty much that way. They pay a person for this, a person for this, a person for that, And I have had clients, that are Asian or Indian or whatever other races, okay? But it doesn't last that long. I don't know. It's just the culture is different. The way they handle their dogs is totally different. So anyways, pretty much, if my white clients, I'm sounding so racist, I'm sorry, you guys, but if my white clients are not able to stay here anymore, who am I going to have for a client anymore? I'm not saying that Indian people and Asian people don't have dogs. They do, but they're not going to pay you what you're worth or be able to survive here. Now, the white people understand because they pretty much were raised here, and they know and they understand, and if you do a good job, they'll pay you, and you've earned their trust, and they like you, and they'll keep using you and referring you, right? And so if they're all leaving, what's coming isn't probably going to be coming with pets and animals and they're a totally different culture and they view animal care totally differently, So anyways, a little off, I guess, the topic kind of, but so I kind of had wanted to be a dog trainer because I do know a lot. I just want to be more certified, basically. I want to go through schooling and training for that. I'm good. I have natural ability. Even though if you'd look at my doctor, it would be like, this girl doesn't know what she's talking about, Mine are totally different, But anyways, so there's times, yeah, I can make a good earning, a good living being a dog trainer. And there's totally need for that in this area, even though there are a lot of other dog trainers. But there's so many dogs around here that there's plenty of work to go around, and it's nice because everything's so close, and I know the industry and I already know this area. So part of me thinks to still be a dog trainer and just stay here and for us to just like work and then try to save money and just take more trips away from here because being here is sickening. It's such a toxic place. The way people are driving, getting around, traffic, it is getting so crowded. There's so much new construction because nothing had been happening for 10 or 30, like 20, 30 years. And now all of a sudden they feel the need and the push to hurry up and start building. So every road has construction going on. That's just like crazy, and so yeah, I was planning and thinking and looking into dog training schools and things like that, and they all cost different prices. They're anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000, and it would be good, for me to learn those things, even though a lot of it I already know and it comes kind of naturally for me. But there's so much more you can always learn. My other option is being a landscaper, like where people are like, yo, I have this dirt lot in my front yard, make it beautiful. And because I've helped Jeff with his jobs of re-landscaping people's front yards or backyards, I'm like, hey, I love this creativity. I love being able to work out in nature. Like I have to have a job that's outside, basically. I have to be outside like so many hours a day, even if the heat bothers me. And even though I can't handle the cold too much and I'm kind of get all achy when it's rainy, I still love to be outside. I have to have flexibility in my work schedule. I can't work for somebody, even though I'd make so much more money. But I also am kind of like thinking and looking into maybe being a professional landscaper. And like Jeff and I have done maybe 3 or 4 jobs where we've actually like re-landscape stuff for people. And it's like, we step back and we're like, we did that? We're kind of good, Like it's hard working with Jeff sometimes. Like, oh my God, sometimes I just want to like walk off the job site and be like, you fucking do it yourself then, if you're going to treat me like that or be that way. But then sometimes we work together really good because we both kind of have that knowledge, and I'm learning stuff that he knows because his dad did gardening and landscaping. So Jeff inherited knowing how to do this stuff basically. And me, I always lived in apartments, so I never really got to have a yard and know. But I learn and I know how to talk to plants or have them talk to me. So I could kind of tell like, oh, this plant would do good here, and those sort of things. And so people have money around here for that kind of stuff. So it's like I could go to school for that and I could earn a pretty good living doing that too. But part of me also is like, oh, let's just like get out of here. Like, let's just give it a year or 2 if we can. I think ideally it would take like 2 years for us to really like kind of save up or prepare a little bit to like move, and where would we go? You know what I mean? So, yeah, and sometimes I think, well, why don't we just save up money for the next like 2 years, work our asses off, and then maybe buy a little land and a tiny house somewhere or something, and just do dog boarding or dog training or something like that, So that's always like an option too. But it's really making us really like stop and think, and it's just like life's just happening like so fast to where you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I could just be doing the same thing I've been doing, where he's doing the landscaping gardening and I'm doing my pet care thing, and we just live the van life and just enjoy life, and maybe we'll get to travel a little bit soon. But it's just like all of a sudden it's just kind of like everything's snowballing around us, and it's like everything is changing, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, what I kind of had thought maybe has to happen sooner than later, Maybe I have to have a push or or have to get the wheels going sooner about either being a dog trainer or doing the landscaping thing. And, Jeff is kind of like thinking like, crap, do I want to keep doing this landscaping thing, or do I want to go do tree work? Which means he would have to save up for a truck and a chipper, and you got to pay licenses, and you probably have to start paying taxes. And it's just, does he want to get into doing all of that? I mean, that's good money there. I make my own money. I'm not like dependent on Jeff, but I do help him with his business, So, but he helps me with mine too, like when we walk the dogs and everything else, or helps me with pet sits, Yeah, and too, sometimes like I get burned out doing the pet care thing, because it's like all the time your schedule is always changing. You're kind of working like all day and then at night, like if you're pet sitting, so you're kind of always on the go. So sometimes I think the landscaping thing would be nice, because then it's more of like, look, I'm gonna work 8 to 2 today, I'm done, that's it. And then you could have the rest of your day, or whatever you want to do your schedule as, however many days a week and things like that, So I'm kind of got to start looking into, how much do professional landscapers make? Some of our clients have had them before. Before Jeff and I kind of did some landscaping, and sometimes they weren't that happy with their person. I never asked how much they make, but it sounded like a lot that they paid out. So I'm like, if I can get on that bandwagon, that's good. And what do? Just look at an area and they're like, oh, this is zone 9 and you get this much sun in this part of the yard, and what's your budget? Like, a lot of this we've already kind of been doing, Jeff and I, it's just kind of evolved. And so it's kind of something I'm kind of looking into doing too, and just kind of give the whole pet thing a break. I do love it, but I'm also really burned out on it because I've done it for 11 years, and it's just kind of sometimes like boring, and it's hard always feeling like you're always like working, like 6-7 days a week, even though you enjoy it and it's great being around animals. It's still always like a very demanding job, because it's this person wants this and this person wants that, and can you come here then, and can you do that, wait, let me change that, oh, I'll let you know, oh, and no matter how much you try and control everybody or get back to them when you do, it's still always, you're kind of at their mercy, and you have to charge accordingly. And then that's another thing, because the cost of everything where we live is getting so high that like Jeff and I are feeling like we have to increase our rates like at least every 4 to 6 months. We kind of may not, but that's like on us, but we're thinking that like, look, we just raised rates, X amount of time ago. I think we got to do it again. And I'm like, but then some clients are like, you just raised us X months ago. And it's like, the cost of living here is just ridiculous, And then gas is, everything. And I know, it's a city, it's a major city. They say 7 out of 10 of the most expensive places to live in the US is in California, and pretty much the Bay Area. And that's about where I live, I was raised here and born here. So it's like, I know what they mean, but it's just, yeah. So I guess if you guys live other places, and if you guys do the van life or nomadic life, I'm curious where you guys live and what it's like, and if you guys urban camp and how that is and how it's been lately. We'd love to hear about it, so put it in the comments. You gotta go like this, otherwise people don't put it in the comments down below, right? So yeah, so we've kind of been thinking like, yeah, do we make our money here and then try to travel more, or do we just completely end up leaving here entirely? And ideally it'd probably be like 2 years, really. We're not really tied to this place, really. It's just getting so disgusting. And I guess too, again, I'm gonna sound really racist. Being a white girl, okay, I had my DNA tested. I'm pretty much a European mutt, pretty much, right? But you guys see, I'm a white girl, okay? No, I'm a mutt, right? And I dealt with the segregation when I was younger at schools and things like that. So don't people say, you're a white girl, you don't know what hate crime is and desegregation. Yeah, I do. I've lived other places. I've lived where we were 20 minutes from the Mexican border, okay? So I know, all right? But anyways, it is sad. I think everybody wants to feel part of a tribe, part of a community where they feel like they fit in and they belong. And now it's feeling sad because I'm feeling like I'm looking around everywhere we go and I'm like, Jeff, there's like no white people left. Like, it's sad for me because it's like you just want to feel like you're still somewhat connected or part of a community, I guess, instead of being like the ugly duckling all the time. You know, it's like you don't have things to share, you know, because you guys, everybody's like, you know, I like the diversity. I am fine with that. I was raised here. I'm used to diversity. I'm open-minded. I love everybody. Kind of love everyone and hate everybody at the same time. You know, I'm fine with people being gay or queer or lesbian or bisexual or transgender. I'm fine. I like people for who they are, okay? Honestly, I like a person for who they are. I don't freaking care. If they were just like had a big old box on their body or their head and I still had a conversation with them, I don't care who or what they were. I just like a person for who they are. But I am feeling like everywhere I go, there's like no white people left. You know, there's very few. They're up in like the really rich areas, you know? And it's just hard because I don't relate to really rich people. They have a whole different set of agenda, you know? And so Jeff doesn't always kind of understand because he's Japanese, even though he's like American, okay? And I understand his family came here before he was born, you know, but his family came here and he's like full Japanese. But if you've seen him in the videos, totally looks like he's totally American, you know? And he almost looks more Hawaiian kind of. But anyways, his family came here, and when they did, I don't remember all the details, and I don't really want to get into all of that, but they came here, there was like a major need, and they came here and they gave blood, sweat, and tears. So I feel like they have a right to be here. They didn't just come here and buy up everything and take everything from everybody that was already here. They came here, they paid their dues, they worked their asses off, they were treated like shit. And, you know, I'm not saying someone should have to go through all that, but they did in that era because his dad's like 82 years old, right? So they came here maybe when I don't know how old his dad was. Maybe when his dad was like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years old or something. And same with my dad. My dad was full-blooded Italian from Italy and came here when he was like 20. And I guess they lived in New York and then, I don't know, made their way wherever in the US, right? And my dad came here and he owned several businesses and he took care of himself and he didn't just come here and mooch off the government like some of these other races and nationalities do. They just come here and just instantly mooch, which I don't think that's fair because there's people that were born and raised here and they don't get that. And I don't think that's right. Or we're not taking care of like the elderly people or the people that have mental disabilities. And I think they should be taken care of first before saying, come on everybody from all over the freaking world, we'll just take care of everybody except for our people that were born and raised here or already paid their dues and already worked hard and worked their butt off. And, you know, so that's where I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair.